Welcome to another episode of Malaika, the talk show for African Christian women. Today's subject is advancing at such a mind-boggling rate, it's hard to keep track. So don't go anywhere. Stay where you are. We'll be back in an instant. Youth and technology. Now, that's a mouthful. In studio today to talk about this topic, we have Mama Audrey.
Drowned.
Well, we're drowned. We're already drowned.
I'm so glad that we have a special guest who will help us on that subject.
Exactly.
Indeed. We have Auntie Zots. Thank you, Auntie Zots, for being with us as usual.
It's great to be here, Jackie. Very interesting topic.
Exactly. And Tatiana, of course.
Today we have a fun one.
Yes, indeed. And straight from South Africa, we have an elder. His name is Leon Visma. Welcome, Leon.
Thanks, Jackie. Nice to be with you.
Thank you for being with us. And just to let you know, he just happens to be a systems analyst. So an elder systems analyst. Thank you so much for being with us in studio. Okay, to get us started, we're going to move straight over to Tatiana's overview. So Tatiana, youth and technology. I'm sure you've got a lot for us, but you obviously have to cut it short.
Oh, no pressure, huh?
No, not at all.
Let's get started, Jackie. Well, today, our discussion revolves around hyperconnectivity, the constant and persistent state of being connected to the internet. I will slow down just a little bit. That's okay, Jackie.
Thank you. That will be perfect.
And the heart of what we're speaking about is internet addiction, which is a condition where individuals excessively and compulsively engage in online activities to the detriment of their daily life and their overall well-being. We want to dive into some of the various ways that internet addiction can manifest. And the first is online gaming addiction. Because it's the place where hours turns to seconds, but you just can't seem to stop playing. But who's playing? This is real, right? This is very real. The second area is social media addiction.
Yeah.
Opening that app for the billionth time in that relentless quest for acceptance, trying to fight FOMO, fear of missing out, for those who don't know that. Like a fierce warrior. No problem. I think we're all past that. Cyber sex addiction. This is actually no joke. It is a powerful and persistent force that is like a storm wreaking havoc on your life and relationships. And cyber sex is very lucrative. It is valued at a whopping $1 billion a year, and a smashing 10% of internet users are addicted to it. Now, however, that is what is reported. We know that the number is
much higher.
Much higher.
Yeah.
Brace yourselves for the next one. Did you know that there is a such thing as information overload addiction? In doing this topic, I discovered I have one of these addictions. So I will not mock or make fun of this too much. But if you can think of a question, well, hang tight. Because your search will only generate 1.2 billion unique responses. The rabbit hole is real, my friends. Trust me. Ladies, let's be real. We've all been there, and this is perhaps my favorite and most embarrassing, the online shopping addiction.
Exactly.
Ding, 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 ding. It's like having the world's best mall at your fingertips. All the colors, cuts, categories, and just the right sizes are just one click away. It is retail therapy on crack, on steroids. After all, what can stand in the way between us and our cart of must-haves? A little debt, maybe?
Maybe just a little.
Just a little debt. And as magical as all these addictions may seem, because they're all things that we participate in our everyday lives, if we can be honest with ourselves, they do come with some not so fantastic consequences. And they are as follows: impaired social relationships, academic or occupational problems, physical health issues, psychological issues, and lastly, financial consequences, because these do actually come at an actual cost.
Strange enough.
Well, yeah. Especially when you fill that cart.
Yes.
And you have 16 of the same exact top, because why not? I think we can all agree that technology addiction is a rapidly growing problem in society that is not going anywhere soon. And the statistics surrounding this addiction around the world are staggering. Around 8% of the global population is addicted to the internet. we can go ahead and raise that higher.
Doesn't sound higher.
It doesn't sound high. Well,
I'm
there's a
sure
lot of
it's
people
much
on this
higher.
planet as well.
Yes.
That's true. I think it's higher. The average person checks their phone about 150 times daily. I challenge all of you to keep track one day of how many times you unlock your phone, check your apps, and sometimes often for the sake of no reason, because you didn't get a notification.
because?
Yeah.
It's just a habit. I actually found myself in this, while researching this topic, I caught myself at least 20 times in a day checking my phone for no apparent reason and opening an app I knew I didn't have a notification for. And I didn't know why I was doing it, which indicates that I clearly have an addiction as well. And
Lord,
I think,
help us.
Lord help us. We all do, though. We all do. No one is no targets here. The average person spends more time in their electronic devices than sleeping, and the average person spends approximately 8 hours and 41 minutes in front of a screen per day. Now we want to look at teens. Teens spend an average of 7 hours and 22 minutes on their phones a day. And I think that number might be higher if there wasn't school. And I think there's many teenagers as well who are checking at school as well. And did you know that 25% of teens wake up at night to check their phones because of the fear of missing out once again?
Sure.
Children between 8 to 12 are not that far behind at 4 hours and 44 minutes daily. Well, today we're speaking about teenagers on this program, so teenagers use technology extensively. And while this may come with many benefits, few benefits, such as learning, communication, creativity, the risk far outweigh the benefits. And we have exposure to inappropriate material at its best, inappropriate relationships that can be formed on social media, changes in mood and irritability, impaired sleeping problems, isolation, and more serious concerns are cyberbullying and trolling, disinhibition and inappropriate posting and sexting. And there is a lot more on this topic, and that's why we are so happy to have Leon in studio with us today.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Tatiana.
No
Thank
problem,
you so
Jackie.
much. Moving over to Auntie Zot, regarding on the ground, I'm sure you also have mind-boggling, which is the words today, about what's happening on the ground in Southern Africa. Please give us your word.
Yeah, Jackie, I think starting with rural Africa, I think they are the luckiest people at the moment because they don't
Not
have
that much.
access to internet. They may be able to send a WhatsApp here and there, but there's no connectivity. So they're
Actually a
quite,
blessing.
yeah, it's a
It is
blessing for them.
But they don't realize most likely.
Yeah, they actually, especially being youth, they're dying to have what the others have, but they don't realize they are blessed. But then for an average middle-class home in Africa, they are connected to the internet. Though the speeds may not be the same, but it's amazing how much time young people spend on internet, and especially social media. We're not very big at gaming and all that big stuff, but when it comes to social media, I know clearly there is an addiction to Instagram. They are affected by what people are saying online about them. They're depressed when no one likes them. So, and it's amazing, this fake world that they live in, and it's all about what I look like. And it's really a trend in Africa. How many times you see a person, I don't know, selfies and all that. So it's quite big in our region. But I think for me, the biggest thing that concerns us is porn. How much children in schools have been affected by pornography. And I would say children between the age 8 going up, they've been exposed to some way on pornography. And we've actually seen in schools, even in Bulawayo, where I come from recently, we've actually realized the number of kids that are exposed to porn, which leads to LGBTQ tendencies, where girls and girls are pairing because they are seeing things they shouldn't be seeing. And though it's
Not tasting
illegal,
of the fruit of knowledge of good and
of
evil.
good, exactly. And meantime, it's not legal in Zimbabwe and in the region, but because of what they are watching, they've opened up to it, and it's just growing like that in the schools, and it's all through internet, technology, access to things that they shouldn't be watching. And even that social network we used to have, play with your kids, sports. Kids, they get home in the room, close the door, you don't see them. They don't talk to anybody. So it's quite a concern.
It's a big concern indeed.
Very sad situation.
Yeah.
It's a sad situation indeed. So we're going to come over to you, Leon, regarding what she's talked about and what we've heard from Tatiana. Technology is there. There are so many pros and cons. Could you please tell us how can we use technology as an ally rather than it being our enemy?
I think as we've mentioned, technology has so many benefits. Even tonight, we wouldn't have this program if it wasn't for technology. But yet for children, it obviously opens a door for them to experience things, to learn things. And I'm not saying that all technology is bad or that there's technology that can't benefit. There are good programs, there are good sites, there are really wholesome places you can visit. But sadly, it's not the ones the kids find,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as an example, a small little thing, just using technology. Imagine an 8-year-old with a laptop, and they say a very innocent question: where do babies come from?
Yeah.
That's on Google.
Yeah.
What do you think Google is? Is Google going to return encyclopedia?
As if they know it's a child that's
yeah,
Googled.
exactly.
And say,
So-
go ask your parents.
Yes.
Exactly, So that, yes, it can be an ally, but I think more so it's a danger. It can be an enemy, and it's actually designed to be an enemy more than what it is designed to be an ally. And sadly, that is because even our intentions might be good. Our intentions were, we want to be the master of technology, but invariably what happens is technology masters us.
Yeah.
And what happens is
Yeah.
where we want to say we want to use it as a means to a good end, but often it's the end itself, where it is about that like, it is about my image, it is about, and we've all seen, you see a WhatsApp photo, I'll end with this, you see a WhatsApp photo and, you see that person in real life and you think, well,
Is that the same
is this the same person?
Yeah, it's-
No,
When you see him on his profile,
Exactly.
you say, wow. And when you see, I'm not right, the right person here, something's wrong.
don't know so
what
much,
happened between yesterday and today?
Exactly.
Between 2 seconds ago, what happened? There's been a change.
So,
It's a very sad thing because while you're talking, I'm remembering there was at a time a couple came to see us. It was a few years ago. And their boy was going in a Christian school. And I don't know how the boy happened to come across some porn site. He saw a few things. And that really mocked him.
yeah, it shocked him.
And the
Would have-
trouble, he didn't know how to cope with it.
yeah, they don't know what to do with what they've seen.
They don't
It's
know.
like
And the poor child, he would go at night and he felt embarrassed to share it with his parents. So he thought he tried to sort it himself.
Yeah.
But he would go to sleep and he would see images of his father with a woman. And then he would swap, he would see his mother with another man. The poor child, he was so tormented. Then he started to see Jesus with a woman.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
And it was a torment. And it took him 3 years
So the enemy really used that.
before he could open up and look for help because he was so embarrassed of the thoughts he had, of what he saw, of what he felt. He was so embarrassed. And that was just one image
Yeah.
that was brought to him 1 or twice or 3 times by a bad friend
Yes.
who ended up, that poor guy, he could have lost his life. He could have turned into suicide. He could have turned
Yeah.
into despair. We don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we hear kids have committed suicide. Sometimes we hear kids have done this. We don't even know what brought that. But so often it's situations like this.
Exactly.
Yes, Mama Audrey, it's true. Situations like that are so detrimental to an individual.
Incredible.
So, Brother Leon, we'll move over to you. Regarding excessive screen time, how does that actually affect youth?
Jackie, I think it's a great question. I think firstly, it's important for youth to know that a device is made to own them.
Exactly.
And, as a software developer myself, we write software for the purpose of keeping you on the screen.
Wow.
We've all used it before. Facebook with infinite scrolling, YouTube, Instagram Shorts, TikTok, all of those platforms are designed to keep that device in your hand. And I think the advice to youngsters is to realize that we are living in a culture where that device, it is promoting you to be distracted. So And I think more and more we've seen with youngsters that the attention span is 15 seconds,
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking at something, that they've got the screen for 15 seconds, and then if it
The
doesn't
next thing.
satisfy, they just quickly move on. And I think it's good if a youth can even identify that in their own lives, you know, and see, you know what, this device is starting to own me.
Yeah.
And I think the best advice would be when you can see it as an idol. And the best way for me to put that is, if mom or dad took your phone from you, what would that mean? What would that mean to you?
Yeah,
What would your reaction be? Is that like taking something small? Is that like withholding a meal from you?
Or taking your breath away.
Or taking, exactly.
Exactly.
And I think for youth to understand that, you know, we do become what we like and what we see. And so often they don't realize that. You know, they're on a post, they're commenting on something, and they see someone like, you know, so you see a drunk person lying on the floor, and you like that. You know, you see someone beating someone else, and you like that. You know, you see promiscuity, and you like that. And you know, a like is quickly. It's a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and it's a very quick reaction. And now if you stand back as a youth, what are you actually saying you're liking? What values are you promoting? And I think sadly that's the influence of the world. That's the world wanting to promote these things, and even where it becomes ingrained in us, you know. And like that, as they become more distracted, you realize that for a youth, technology then becomes you know, something that just consumes them. And it is really about, as Tatiana's mentioned, as you guys have mentioned, you know, it is about that image. You know, and you see an Instagram photograph of a breakfast, you know, and it's the perfect breakfast.
Always.
You know, it's always the most amazing.
And when you go to a restaurant, it's something else.
This fear of missing out, seeing something, and now all of a sudden I'm not included. And in so many social circles, as an example, a good example is a couple of youth get together, they put some posts up on the internet, and now you weren't invited. What does that do to that person, you know? And then they take it further, you know, for the in-group, for the cool crowd, and in all of those things, technology is, like we said, it can be an ally, it can be an enemy. And for so many of those things, it is detrimental, both for mental health, both for physical health. You know, these days, gone are the days where the kids go play outside.
Oh, no.
You know, it's 4 hours in front of the computer, 2 hours in front of a screen for social media.
They play football on the screen.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go and play football
Exactly.
Yeah.
on the screen.
Yeah.
So I think,
Very sad.
you know, for youth to at least identify, the most important advice I can give is for them just to evaluate who's the master. Is the device the master, or are you the master of the device? And the quickest way to recognize that is it an idol in your life? And the Lord is clear.
Are you slave to?
Yeah.
Are you slave to it?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Thank you, Brother Leon, for that input.
Pleasure.
We're going to move over to Mama Audrey. So, Mama Audrey, in the church, is it okay for technology to be used to attract the youth? Surely there is some benefit in drawing
There's
the
some
masses.
pulling.
Yes, in drawing the masses with technology.
I mean, like Brother Leon said earlier on, you know, we would not have the show if there wasn't technology. So somehow we are using technology to have the show. But it's true that we must be careful that the end doesn't justify the mean. Because I want to draw young people, I can't just use any tool to do that. There are tools that we can use, definitely, that to promote a program, to promote a message to the young people, but we mustn't dance on the music. We mustn't line up with the spirit of the world.
Exactly.
We must be very careful that we stay in line with the gospel, with the spirit of the gospel, that we don't get carried away by the world and we don't imitate the world in the ways they are using all the systems and all the ways they can to draw youth to themselves. It can be music, it can be clips, it can be all the things we spoke about, all that can be used. But we can't try to please the young people by making them listen to something or hear something or see something that they like, that will draw them, and not the gospel.
Be using the means of the world.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we must be very careful. In another program, we heard about a young girl, how she was attracted. The first step to a fall was world music.
Yes.
And all these things, it is so important for the church to be careful, because the temptation is big.
Yeah.
Because you can so easily take the tools of the world to use to bring people to the Lord. But that doesn't mean they will come to the Lord.
Exactly.
They might come to listen to your show, but it doesn't mean they will come to the Lord. So whatever the tool is that can be a blessing, an ally, let's use it. Like, you know, on Malaika, we use, I don't know how many, on the French Malaika, we have something like 300,000 fans.
Yeah.
So why not? If we can build it to 1 million, let's go.
Exactly.
But the more we can use that tool to spread the gospel, why not? The more we can use the tool to sing and to put our songs online to spread the gospel, not to get the fame, not to be recognized, not to get money, the good motivation, and for the right reasons. So we must be careful, the church must be very careful not to fall into the temptation to use these tools in inappropriate ways.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. That was
I'm sure Brother Leon must say something about that and must...
I think, obviously, Audrey, it's so clear. You know, we can't use the means of the world to attract.
Yeah.
And in a sense, if our aim is to spread the gospel.
But it is used very often.
Yes.
Many churches in the world today
Yes.
use with great freedom and intensely.
Of course. They have live concerts with smoke machines and all sorts
yes,
of
yeah.
things. And yes, that's not the heart of the Lord for the youth, because then they might as well be in a disco. But
Exactly.
we're just happy that they're at church. You know, but there, what transmission is there of the gospel into their lives? So I think in that sense, if the aim is the gospel, use technology for that.
Exactly.
And whatever you can use technology, by
And
all
bring
means.
young people to the Lord the right way.
Exactly.
Exactly. Moving over, just stepping back to the home now, because a lot actually happens in the home. And thank you for touching on the church, Mama Audrey. Regarding what practical ways could you advise parents regarding handling technology in the home?
Well, I think the most obvious one, but you know, we say it's obvious, but we all see this, is firstly, don't use a screen in front of a steering wheel. But we've all been we've all been in traffic.
Yes,
We all believe
We're all guilty.
hand down.
Oh, man. Oh,
We
man.
are being watched.
But I mean, that's the first one. So,
Yeah, it's true.
But at least for each one of us, we can set limits. Set limits for yourself, set boundaries for yourself. So these are practical things you can do. So, and also in your home, have screen-free zones. So as an example, mom, dad, family, you decide, look, outside, no screens. At the dining room table, no screens. In your rooms, no screens. If you need a screen to work, you come down to the dining room, you sit at the dining room table, we all can see. It's, you know, and in a sense, it's a safer environment. And then a big thing for all of us that we must realize is that because it is so addictive, for us, we must have that distraction-free moment for ourselves where we actually don't benefit from a screen and we just with ourselves, by ourselves, in silence. And those are moments when we recharge. You know, it's not those moments when we overloaded.
Instead of recharging the phone, we must
Exactly.
recharge ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
put
And
the phone away, let it recharge, and then you
Exactly.
actually need to recharge as
And
well.
we've all seen that, you know. I've seen where someone's watching something on the screen with the computer, listening to music, and they're multitasking. But often what we do is we multitask things that is actually supposed to be a single task. It's not supposed to be a multitasking environment. And I think for us, if we realize that, we put these boundaries in place, we have these limits, it can be a benefit for us. And I think for us to put our phones down, have moments even after specific, those boundaries that we spoke about, maybe for you it's after 8 in the evening, I'm not checking my phone again. And I think the most important is to be responsible with notifications. You know, as Tatiana shared in the beginning, you know, if I turn notifications off, it's a wonderful benefit.
Yeah.
And then
Can I ask just only one quick question?
Of
One
course.
very quick question.
You're allowed.
You know, it's true, we do have these things where the different activities or things we can try, but at the very core of it, it remains an addiction.
Yeah.
And you can try one day and 2 days. I know so many people who close their accounts, 2 days later they reopen their accounts. But to find that real freedom, is it really going to be in doing these principles and having a quiet free zone, or is it really a deeper work of God in our hearts? Because as Christians, we don't have the same pattern as the world.
I think primarily, obviously, Tatiana, it is about victory in Christ,
Exactly.
hearing a message that confronts my flesh, and where I can take positive steps, firstly, to combat that desire, that urge, but also these tools that we say is to put your phone down, have free zones in your those are just added elements. But it's not that brings you to freedom. And it's not that you just want tolerable freedom. That's not what these things are for. But it's just to help us as extra means.
I think it's a very good thing, because many people, they don't have these few tips that Brother Leon gave. They would like to know how to improve, how to get better, how to be able to get out of this thing.
Yeah.
And it's good for them to be able to have these ideas that they can start applying to their own homes, to their own time, to themselves, and it can be only positive.
Yes.
Mama Audrey, could you sum that up, please, in your final word, as we have come to the end, unfortunately?
Just, I think a final word should be for the parents, because I think the greatest responsibility is for them.
Yeah.
Because they mustn't allow these devices to steal and rob their relationship with their kids.
Exactly.
They must be very careful what they put in the hands of their children. They shouldn't be giving tablets and phones to their children. As Brother Leon said, if they need to work, come and do it in the lounge. Use my phone, work in the lounge. But don't put a poison or a knife,
It's actually a loaded gun.
a loaded gun,
Yeah.
in the hand of a young person who cannot handle it, knowing that even if he's sincere,
Yeah.
as we spoke about the bullying, about all the things that can come their way that can shock them for life. So I think it's important for the parents to take responsibility, full responsibility of their own lives, not to be hooked and slave themselves to
Exactly.
internet, and to be aware of the dangers and protect their kids and do what they need to do at any cost, so that to protect that child and to preserve that child as long as they can do so.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Mama Audrey. We've come to the end of our episode. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pastor, thank you,
you.
Brother Leon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. Be careful of technology. Goodbye.